Hello and welcome to my class. I am Coach Jay, an intrapersonal relationship coach, and obviously betrayal trauma practitioner here at PBT. Today, actually, it's funny that I just coughed because I'm going to start my corny dad joke with exactly that. So, what do you call a pony with a cough? A pony with a cough is a little horse. Ba-dum-bum. All right, if you could take two deep healing breaths with me, in through the nose, out through the mouth. And one more. Okay. What building trust in a relationship requires, or rebuilding broken trust? Trust is an essential component of a strong relationship, but it doesn't happen quickly. And once it's broken, it's hard to rebuild, but not impossible. In this class, I want to give you a few tips and techniques on rebuilding trust. But as always, this is not an all-inclusive or extensive list. It's just hopefully a helpful one. All right. So what does trust really mean? Well, to start, it might be helpful to think of trust as a choice that someone has to make. You can't make someone trust you. You might not choose to someone until they show you that they're worthy of it. Trust is something that's earned through transparency, honesty, consistency. Um, I'm going to give you the non-psychological, non-Webster's dictionary of trust. This is my own personal definition, what have you, is simply this: knowing that the person you're with has got your back. That's it. You're running late. You need help getting the kids on the bus. Your spouse says, I got your back. You were sick last month and you can't come up with your half of the bills. If you guys split bills, whatever, your spouse says, I got your back. You wake up and you have a sore neck because you slept wrong. Your spouse says, I got your back, and rubs it. So basically, trust is knowing the person you're with has your back. All right, signs of trust in a relationship. Trust can mean different things to different people. In a romantic relationship, trust could mean that you feel committed to the relationship and to your partner. It could mean you feel safe with your partner and know that they'll respect your physical and emotional boundaries. It could mean that you know your partner listens when you communicate your needs and feelings. You don't feel the need to hide things from your partner. Could be that you and your partner respect each other. Could be that you could be vulnerable together with one another, and that you support one another. And again, it's just simply knowing I got your back, or so-and-so has mine. It's also important to understand what trust isn't. In a relationship, for example, trust doesn't necessarily mean that you tell your partner every single thing or detail that crosses your mind. It's totally normal to have personal or private thoughts that you keep to yourself. So how do we go about rebuilding trust after you've been hurt, betrayed, or trust has been broken? Having someone break your trust can leave you feeling hurt, shocked, and even physically sick. It might prompt you to consider your relationship and your partner in a completely different way. This is I don't want to digress, and this is why I read my classes, because my ADHD will take me down 25-minute nonsense. But this is one of the things with broken trust or betrayal, is that there's so much of the grieving process that takes place. And when you grieve something, that repositions it. So when you grieve the loss of the marriage that you thought you had, you grieve the loss of the person you thought you were married to, whatever, that repositions something. So grieving has so much to do with the betrayal process, and repositioning has so much to do with the grieving process. So it just gets so complex and deep. Anyways, if you want to attempt to rebuild trust, here are some good starting points. Number one, consider the reason behind the betrayal. When you've been betrayed, you might not care about the reasons behind it. You might say, I could give a crap why so-and-so did A, B, and C, blah, 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 blah. And I get that. Lord knows I get that. Trust me. But knowledge is power. And understanding the reasons behind the betrayal will definitely serve you during the healing process. And again, this is whether you reconcile or not. Whatever happened, it's important to make it clear that what they did wasn't okay at all. Period. End of sentence. Case closed. But knowing the reasons behind their actions may help you decide whether you're able to begin rebuilding trust, um, and also the best way to go about starting that journey. Communicate, communicate, communicate. This is number two. It might be painful or uncomfortable, but one of the biggest necessary aspects of rebuilding trust after betrayal or broken trust is talking to your partner about the situation. At first, it'll be quite tough, especially because there are so many emotions at play. And you should really be doing this with a professional or under professional guidance. Set aside some time to clearly tell them how you feel about the situation and what it did to you, and why the betrayal of trust hurt you, and what you're going to need from them to rebuild trust. Keeping in mind, of course, that your needs are going to change or modify over time. As you heal, there's phases and stages of healing, and each of those phases and stages, you're going to have different needs within those phases and stages. So you might need something the first 2 months, and then the next 3 months, you might need something else. And then the next 4 months, you might need what you needed in stage one, plus additional stuff that you need now, which sometimes has partners saying, oh my God, I've done this 475,000 times, or I went over this 6,000 times, or I told you the same thing that 600 times. Doesn't matter. You're in a new stage, a new phase. You need to hear that all over again as if it was the first time, plus new things. They apologize, and do they seem remorseful? Are they defensive and unwilling to own up to their betrayal, or constantly dismissing or deflecting or downplaying, what have you? You may feel emotional or upset during this conversation. These feelings are completely valid. If you feel yourself getting too upset to continue communicating in a productive way, take a break and come back to the topic later. And this is for both parties, because let's face it, the other person's hurting too, whether they're well, I don't know if they're hurting if they're a narcissist necessarily, but the other person's hurting too with shame and guilt and so forth. Talking about what happened is just the beginning. It's perfectly fine and entirely normal to put this on pause and take all the time you need to communicate about it. I mean, there's couples that are still talking about infidelity 20 years later. Hopefully they're still not in those initial stages and phases 20 years later, but they're still talking about it. Dare I say, even laugh about it at times, or give it a chuckle because of some of the things that maybe were said and done that were completely healed now, 20 years later. But no matter what, know that your feelings and emotions are valid, and communication is key. 3, practice forgiveness. Now, if you want to repair a relationship after betrayal, or reconcile a marriage, or what have you, forgiveness is key. Not only will you need to forgive your partner, but you also may need to forgive yourself. If forgiveness is not even in the realm of possibilities right now, then maybe tell yourself that you're not able to forgive right now, but you want to forgive. Keep in mind, you must know your own personal definition of forgiveness. You cannot give something to someone that when you don't know what it is you're giving them. For me, a big part of forgiving or forgiveness is simply accepting that you cannot change the past. That's one of my definitions that sits well in my soul, is accepting, because after betrayal, you spend so much time begging and pleading God, the universe, your partner, oh my God, please make this a terrible nightmare. Please, please, please tell me this is all a joke. That's not forgiveness, or that's not my definition of forgiveness. Forgiveness is accepting what happened and accepting the fact that you cannot change it. As brutally, profoundly hurtful as that is, accept that it cannot be changed. That to me is the beginning process of forgiveness. Blaming yourself in any way for what happened can keep you stuck in self-doubt, and that can hurt the chances of your relationship's recovery. Depending on the betrayal, it might be hard to forgive your partner and move forward, but try to remember that forgiving your partner isn't saying that what they did is okay. Rather, you're empowering yourself to come to accept what happened. and that you cannot change the past. You're also giving your partner a chance to learn and grow from their mistakes. Keeping in mind, of course, I just want to say, again, not to digress, forgiveness is more so helps with your healing, not with the process of moving forward. In reconciling, it can help with that, but forgiveness, really, you give yourself the gift of forgiveness. That's why forgiveness is so important. Or do your best not to dwell on the past. Once you've fully discussed the betrayal, it's generally best to put the issue to bed. Now, this doesn't mean it happens in a day, a week, a month. I'm talking fully dissected the betrayal. Once you've gotten the details you need, the answers you need, the responses that you long for, do your best to put it to bed. Um, that means you don't want to bring it up in future arguments. You'll also want to go easy on constantly checking in with your partner to make sure they're not lying to you again. Though, as I always say, trust your gut and your intuition. This isn't always easy, especially at first. You might have a hard time letting go of the betrayal and find it difficult to start trusting your partner, especially if you're worried about another betrayal. But when you decide to give the relationship a second chance, you're also deciding to trust your partner again. So maybe you can't completely trust them right away, but you're open to giving them a chance to grow. Now, again, every situation is going to be completely different, based on people's love language, their attachment styles, their childhood wounds. I mean, it's like an onion. There's a million different layers. Now, you may be asking yourself, or probably have asked yourself a million times, how long this will take. Actually, I think I just covered some of this. Being in a relationship with broken trust can be extremely uncomfortable, difficult, and challenging to say the least. Both sides might be eager to get the whole rebuilding process over with as fast as possible. But realistically, this takes time. How much time exactly depends completely on a lot of factors, like I just said, particularly the event that broke trust. There are also other factors such as, like I just said, attachment styles, love languages, the circumstances surrounding the betrayal, and how the person who broke trust responds. We've all heard countless times from people it wasn't what they did that sealed the divorce, it was their attitude after and their behavior that sealed the divorce, or the breakup, or the disconnection, or what have you. All of this and much more affect healing time. So have patience with yourself. Don't let your partner rush you. Don't rush yourself. It would feel so much better to get this under the carpet and just move forward. But trauma is like lava inside our body. It will destroy everything it touches until it's healed. So don't brush it under the carpet. A partner who truly regrets hurting you may be hurting too. Keep that in mind. But if they truly care for you and they want to fix things, they should also understand it isn't helpful to rush back into the way things were. So, one of the things to consider for reconciliation and rebuilding trust is it worth it? Rebuilding trust isn't an easy task. It's normal to question if it's even worth it before you decide to commit on working on your relationship. If your partner makes a mistake or two, I can't stand that word, by the way, but I'm just using it. I'm not diminishing any betrayals or broken trust by saying mistake, because I loathe that word. It's just the term I'm choosing to use here in this class. So if they do happen to break trust, I'll just say that once or twice over the course of a long-term relationship, and they own up to it, and they're striving to do better, and they want to do better, and they're behaving and their actions are aligning with their words that they are trying to do better, working on the relationship might be the right move. Of course, this is completely up to your decision. As long as there's still love, commitment, a stick-to-itiveness, a willingness between both parties, then working on trust issues will only make your relationship stronger. If you know you'll never be able to completely trust your partner again, no matter what they do, generally it's best to make it clear right away that you probably should both move forward separately. A lot of times it's difficult with two young kids. You have to learn how to co-parent, yada, yada. It's also worth weighing your options if you've discovered years of infidelity, financial dishonesty, manipulation, gaslighting, lies, deceit, living a double life, and other forms and breaches of trust. So bottom line, it's possible to rebuild a relationship. It's possible to rebuild trust after it's been breached. Whether it's worth it, however, depends on the relationship needs and whether you feel it's possible you can trust your partner again. If you decide to try repairing things, be prepared for things to take some time. If both sides are committed to the process of rebuilding trust, you might find that both you and your partner come out stronger actually than before. I think the stats, I don't know, but I think the stats are between 60 and 80% of people that decide to work on their relationship after betrayal or broken trust actually are far happier afterwards than before the broken trust activity occurred. So before ending this class, I just want to give you a handful of trust building tips. Number one, words must align with actions. In any important relationship, trust will grow when words consistently match actions. On the flip side, if one thing is said and another is done, there will be a breach that could very well trigger old feelings. Both partners should focus on doing what they said and what they say and keep promises. And if one says, you're the most important person to me, yet they're consistently prioritizing work and friends and time at the gym or on their phone over their partner, then there's going to be a disconnect there. And that doesn't help build trust. Your words must align with your actions. Two, simply put, show respect. Respect can be conveyed in the tone of your words. It could be from the time you spend together, the support you show for one another in terms of your feelings, your thoughts, your interests. So listening and seeking to understand one another rather than questioning one another's perceptions can truly help restore trust in a relationship. I always say, when oftentimes two people are having a conversation, especially let's go in your traditional male-female role, guys have a tendency to go into their toolbox and want to fix things. And a lot of times women don't want things to be fixed. They just want to be heard. So, tuning in on the emotion of what somebody's saying, not that they want to fix it. 9 times out of 10, women know how to handle better the situation. They don't need help from a guy. They just want to know, I got your back emotionally. All right, 3, negotiate your non-negotiable values. It can be difficult to trust your partner when you feel values are at odds. If your top priority is fun, but your partner values safety, your partner might not, understandably, concede to your non-negotiables. And what I mean by that is your flexible non-negotiables, not your non-negotiables, your flexible non-negotiables. So if this is the case, put everything on the table and talk about it. If one person has a flexible non-negotiables of safety and one has a flexible non-negotiable of fun, how about putting the two together and coming to a compromise that you guys will do things that are both fun and safe? So, and again, this is not, and you might be asking yourself, well, wait a minute, hold on, my non-negotiable was infidelity, and now here's where we are. And I get that, and that's a whole nother topic, a whole nother discussion, a whole nother class. This is if you are reconciling, what are some of those flexible non-negotiables? I probably confused you. I apologize. Anyways, number 4, be honest and apologetic. The inability, and this is for people that have broken trust, obviously. I mean, both parties primarily, but the person who broke trust or betrayed is the one really that needs to be proactive with these things. The inability to be honest and admit fault is an easy way to lose someone's confidence. Nobody's perfect. Just like I've mentioned earlier, your words must match your behavior, and should something come up, you need to own it and apologize for it. Accountability shows one another that you care for the relationship more than being right, which can play a big part in rebuilding. I can't tell you how many couples, I know well, I'm looking this way because it's my beautiful window and I see outside and the birds are flying, so it distracts me. So when I look away from the screen, a bird must have flew by my window or something. I can't tell you, Okay, now my ADHD's kicked in, I'm not sure, and you don't wanna be bored with my side thoughts anyways. Anyways, number 5, focus on connection. Life, we're very busy. We're very busy. Life with, kids and work and church and volunteering and extended family and, fixing the cars in the garage and snow plowing snow and, um this pandemic, etc. It could be hard because you may not get the time that you really desire or need with your partner or that you're both used to. So it's easy to tune out and do your own thing in life um, with the small amount of free time that we actually have during the day. But prioritizing connection is absolutely important in maintaining a sense of trust. When you get a pocket of free time, even if it's 30 minutes, 20 minutes, 10 minutes, even if it's before bed, partners should zone in to one another as opposed to zone out. Even if it's just catching up on your favorite Netflix show together. I mean, so many partners don't even like the same shows. I know me, and I've been married 20 years. I love investigation discovery, and my spouse really can't stand that at all. And my spouse is into Marvel movies, and I fall asleep during them. But if you sit there even for 10, 20 minutes and watch them with them, that shows that, geez, there's a willingness of rebuilding trust and respect and all these things that we need to feel connected. You'll be surprised at how even the occasional connection point amidst the chaos of life's demands can restore trust in your relationship. And the last thing I just want to say is have an attitude of stick to itiveness. So what that means is keep on keeping on. There'll be times the road gets relatively difficult and fairly bumpy. You're in this community for a reason, and you're listening to this class for a reason. During those times, you want to give up and give in. Just remember all the reasons you chose to rebuild and keep on. Now, rebuilding trust in a relationship doesn't even mean necessarily reconciliation. There could be a certain amount of trust to rebuild, because let's just say you do want to go your separate ways, but you have to co parent. Well, you want to rebuild a certain amount of trust, even just to co parent. So I hope you got something out of today's class. I appreciate your time. Appreciate watching this class. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me, whether privately or in the comment sections below. I hope you have a wonderful week, and cheers to your um, uh, healing. And that's it. Good day.